Hi, I'm Ryan Szymanski, curator for Battleship New Jersey Museum and Memorial, and today we're at one of my favorite bunks on the ship. Whichever sailor was here, decorated with a ton of bumper stickers and other things. And in today's video, we're going to talk about vehicles on the battleship, and we've also got some stories about these bumper stickers. There are a number of places around the ship where folks have put stickers, bumper stickers, etc. on their lockers or bunks or other spaces like that. This is the one that has the most of them that I have found so far. I haven't opened every bunk yet. I'm sure we'll find more of these as we go into other bunks and lockers. This one doesn't have any on the underside, but we do have... So this is probably my favorite bumper sticker of all of them. Battleship sailors do it with 16 inches. This one seems to have been produced around 1982, 1983, 1984, that early time period in the 80s. And if I remember correctly, it was the ship's chaplain who actually had these made up. The chaplain is in charge of the crew welfare and morale, and so has access to the ship's morale funds and seems to have used that to make these bumper stickers to give them out to the crew. And so we've got a couple of them in the collection. We've got a couple of them that we find around the ship. And it seems like for a 1 or 2 week period there in the 80s, these guys were just going around slapping these everywhere, including places on the ship they shouldn't have, and the captain's personal car. I can't specifically remember which captain it was, Milligan or Fogarty or one of those early 80s captains, but they did not approve of having one of these bumper stickers put on their car, and so they put out some sort of order to the crew, according to oral histories we've heard, to take these all down off of the ship and off of his car and everywhere else. Yeah, so I love when we find the bumper stickers around. It tells you a lot about the sailor who was here. This guy, like, we can tell a couple of things. One, he doesn't like clowns. Two, California Angels. The ship was based out of Long Beach. They were living in California at the time, most of the crew, so that makes sense. Got McDonald's bumper stickers there. We've got a bunch of bumper stickers. We've got one from Tijuana, Mexico, one from Guam, one that says Bruce Springsteen is the boss. So it shows some of the places that the ship visited. Yeah, we've got a couple of Oklahoma Sooner stickers on here, so that might be where this individual is from. We've got a couple of movie stickers. There's one from Back to the Future up here, and there's a Rambo sticker here that says Stop Terrorism. That's probably from that time that Rambo fought alongside the Taliban. Not his finest moment, but that helps us date when this was from. So the original point of this episode was why in a lot of pictures of the ship do you see cars on the battleship? Some of the cars aren't really cars, and they're on board to do work. So if you look at pictures of aircraft carriers, you'll often see yellow gear, is what they're nicknamed. They're like little yellow, like golf cart type vehicles, these small square things that can drive under the wings of aircraft. And those are there to tow the aircraft around the flight deck and tow ordnance and other things around the flight deck and hangar. And Battleship New Jersey, it seems, had one of these in the 1980s. I'm not sure how they got one. We also see the crew using a lot of like manual pallet jacks on the ship. That's what I would think that the ship should have. So I'm not entirely sure that it was that the yellow gear that the ship had was authorized, or if they just acquired one from somewhere. But it can be used for towing the helicopters around the flight deck. It can be used for moving the ship's boats, at least 2 of which were stored on the fantail, on rolling carts. You'd have to move them if you were rotating the guns one way or the other. You'd move the boats and the helicopters to the other side of the ship. And they seem to have been used to like tow pallets of shells on rolling dollies around the deck as they're doing unrep and things like that. So again, not sure if they're issued. I don't think I've seen them on any other Iowas. But also there's enough stuff on the fantail. Iowas have this big, broad fantail. So it would make sense for them all to get issued one, I suppose. But also you see like actual freaking cars on the fantail of these ships. Are they driving around the deck of the battleship? No, no. The deck of the ship is probably broader than the H1 in Hawaii, but it's not really broad enough to drive a car on. The reason you sometimes see cars on the fantail is because the ship is changing home ports, and the ship, especially during the Vietnam War, I know that one for sure, had a car assigned to it that was the captain's personal car. And oftentimes the captains and maybe even some other senior officers were allowed to bring their own personal cars as opposed to the government issued ship's car. So, like when you see the ship going from the Philadelphia Navy Yard through the Panama Canal to change home ports to Long Beach, or from Long Beach to Subic Bay in the Philippines, both in 1968, you see that there are cars on the fantail along with boats and helicopters and other things. And that's just, they were craned up there, they got tied down to the aviation tie-down points, and they stayed there for the entire voyage. And then when the ship gets to a new home port, they crane them back off, put them on the pier, and now the captain has a car in port. Or there's a car for ship's business, or whatever else the case may be. Battleship New Jersey works with a lot of car and motorcycle clubs these days, and oftentimes these clubs will come out and line all their cars up on the pier or motorcycles and take pictures with the battleship in the background. We've also brought vehicles out for things like World War II Day, Vietnam Day, or Army-Navy tug of war. But we don't really do that much anymore, not because those vehicles aren't around, but because, say, Army-Navy tug of war, the Navy they do it on the pier here the same week as the Army-Navy football game, especially back when it was being hosted in Philadelphia. So the Navy has the battleship representing them. The Army would bring an armored vehicle, but that thing just looks puny next to the battleship. So the Army just stopped doing it because it wasn't as good for morale as initially thought. So if you are in a car club, be sure to reach out to events here at the battleship and talk with us about bringing out your club to take a tour of the ship and get some pictures of your vehicles around the battleship. Unfortunately, without a crane, we can't lift your car or your World War II era vehicle or whatever the case may be onto the ship, but you can at least get a picture with the ship in the background. Battleship New Jersey was recently sponsored by Subaru, which has a headquarters here in Camden, New Jersey. Subaru is the official car of Battleship New Jersey, and one of these nights, if I'm not restrained, I might go out and slap these Battleship sailors do with 16-inch stickers all over their cars. When aircraft carriers change home ports, they tend to load the entire flight deck with the entire crew's personal vehicles. I've never seen more than one or maybe two cars on the fantail of New Jersey at any given time when she's transitioning ports. Would you be willing to have your personal vehicle stowed on the deck of the battleship while she's at sea? I'm not sure I'd want my Honda Civic on there. Let us know in the comment section down below if you think it would be safe to tie a Subaru down to the fantail while the ship is at sea. Or if you'd be willing to have your personal vehicle tied up on there. Battleship New Jersey receives operating support from the New Jersey Department of State, also from Subaru, and also from a number of other businesses and private individuals like yourselves. If you would like to support the museum, there's a link in the description below to donate. You can also support us by liking, sharing, and subscribing so more people find out about the museum and our channel. Thanks for watching.